Welcome to Executive Access, created for motivated professionals. This is your home for real talk with executives about their career journeys, leadership practices, successes, and learnings along the way. I am your host, Jamie Tazi. Today, we're talking about outward mindset. About 5 years ago, my former leader shared with me this book called Outward Mindset by Arbinger Institute. And it took me a bit to read it, but once I did, I was blown away. Sort of everything came into focus for me, and I talk about it every chance I get. You see, I was always the type of person that inherently has a curiosity for everything, especially other people. I am naturally curious. I had this unconscious competency. That's what it was, an unconscious competency of authentic curiosity and interest in others. And I also enjoyed consistent business results, like strong business results, but I never connected that competency with business results. And after reading Outward Mindset, I saw that a lot of what I was doing naturally, if I practiced, I could get even better and that others can get better as well. Now, by the way, there's plenty that I'm not good at as well, which I'm not going to make the focus of this podcast, but this is one of those things. So I want to share with you because this book gave me a framework for teaching this to others. You know, not everybody is as naturally curious as I am. In fact, I was on a podcast with a colleague, Steven, and he was like, Jamie, what do you do if you're not curious? He's like, I'm not curious. And I just laughed, first of all. I'm like, yes, you are. But he's like, I'm just not. I'm so focused on what I'm doing. I'm not curious. Well, this outward mindset teaches us, and we can practice this, you guys. You cannot, it's very much a growth mindset to say, I'm not this way, but I can be that way through practice. So outward mindset gives us a framework, and it says, with others, focus on others' three things: their needs, their objectives, and their challenges. I like to call this first them, and then after that, you. So focusing on their needs, objectives, and challenges. Most of us get caught up in our own things that we're worried about, our own to-do list, the things that we need to accomplish. And I know that sounds selfish, but it's not that we're being selfish. It's just that we're busy, we're focused. And if you doubt that you're a little bit selfish in that way, because we all are, think about the last time you went to a networking event. You walked into the room, and I'm just going to guess 80 to 90% of us looked around that room and we said, who am I going to speak to? Who am I going to speak to? Not because they seem interesting, but who am I going to speak to that's going to help me with something that I need to work on or that I need to deliver, right? We're scouting the room to find the best conversation. It's a me-focused thing, right? Our mindset says we need to flip the script. It's first about them, and then we can come back to us. When we do this, a couple great things happen. First, it builds empathy for our family members, for our colleagues, for our business partners, for our customers. One story that I'll share is that a client that I worked with to really put this practice into place, outward mindset, I gave them a practice. I said, go out over the next week and meet with one colleague or business partner and have a coffee and simply just ask them three things. What are your needs? What are your objectives? What are your challenges? And just listen. And you can't talk about yourself. The only thing you can do is ask questions, ask clarifying questions. Well, this one team member came back and she said, Jamie, I just had a transformational experience. I invited a business partner to lunch. And this is a partner that we always struggle with. This is a partner that, they work for the state. We're in private practice delivering, healthcare services. And we're always butting heads. And so I did what you said. I asked them what their needs, objectives, and challenges were. And I learned how hard her job is. I learned how difficult it is. And I learned all of the things that I saw as frustrations were things that were challenges for her. And you know what? Once I learned that, I figured out how interacting with her, I could interact with her in a different way that would make her job easier. And then the most interesting thing came, which we're going to get to in a second. I said, well, making her job easier is wonderful, but what does that do for you as well? Because it's great to help make her. She said, you know what? And then she's going to be able to help me better as well. So we'll get to that in a second. So it builds empathy. The second thing that it does is when you practice an outward mindset, it leads to deeper collaboration. It leads to more allyship. When you think about it, when somebody is authentically interested in learning about you, it feels really good. Think about a time when someone was just dialed in. They were just asking you questions about yourself, your interests, your business. It feels great, right? And so we can tell, by the way, when somebody is not authentically curious. So you really need to work on that. Like if you're going to be with somebody and ask these questions, you have to be in it and super curious. So it leads to relationships. And I will tell you, why are relationships important? I can't think of a time in my career where I didn't need to rely on relationships in some way. Either I got myself in a jam and I needed help with something, or I wanted some support for a big idea that I had, or I just wanted some overall support. We need relationships in all that we do, and an Outward Mindset helps you build those. I'll tell you another funny story because I was teaching Outward Mindset once to a group of Penn State business students. And one very brave gentleman said to me, Jamie, it sounds like this whole Outward Mindset thing is you're just telling us to be a people pleaser. And I just sort of laughed and I thought, well, my mom did tell me to be kind to people. So there is an element of that, like be kind to everybody and being interested and authentically curious is kind. But it's more than that. And what I said back to this gentleman at Penn State, I'll say to you, when you practice an outward mindset, not only are you showing up well to others, which is great, but it makes you incredibly powerful. And there's 4 ways that it makes you very powerful. First, when you take the time to learn about others, you learn things, and more importantly, combinations of things that not too many other people can see. You're able to connect the dots on things that make you very powerful. If you want to go back and listen to the previous episode where I talk about floors in a house and going through elevators, you learn things and combinations of things that nobody else does, and that makes you powerful. The second thing is you learn how to inspire people and inspire them to follow you, inspire them to act in ways that you want them to act, to forward the things that you think are important. Because when you truly learn about somebody, what their needs are, their objectives, their challenges, you know exactly how to approach them that will help make their lives better and their work better so that you can inspire them to follow you. That's super powerful. Thirdly, you understand then how to influence action for your ideas, right? When you understand what makes somebody tick, why or why not somebody will follow you, what's getting in their way, what challenges they have, you can help remove them and pull them on versus beating your head against the wall and wondering why a business partner or a colleague isn't interested in what you're interested in. And finally, and this is very, very, very powerful, when you follow an outward mindset, you build a brand and a legacy that creates long-term impact. You do this again and again and again. You become somebody that people know is not just in it for themselves, but is interested in others and can somehow mysteriously, but you don't know how, pull things together in a way that gets people moving in the same direction. So outward mindset will help you do all of those things, and it's incredibly powerful. And yeah, it's a nice thing to do as well. My former leader, Karen Del Vescovo, once said to me and to the entire team, I think she was frustrated at some of the outcomes we were trying to deliver but weren't. And she said, we just need to be more magnetic. And she was absolutely right. And I think about this, and I thought about this to this day. The outward mindset is a framework and a way that you can become more magnetic. It's a way to get there, not just the outcome. So thanks, Karen, for that. So I want you to practice an outward mindset. And how do you practice? Well, much like my client, there's a couple things you can do. Over the next couple weeks, take a colleague to lunch. Ask them what their needs, objectives, and challenges are. In episode 1, Dave Willis, a very senior leader at Microsoft, said in hindsight, he wishes he spent more time with his colleagues. When you do that, see if you can unlock connections that you didn't even know were there that will create tremendous value for you and your business partner. You might want to present your needs, objectives, and challenges. One team that I worked with, they all took turns and they just presented, here's my needs, here's my objectives, here's my challenges, and nobody could interrupt them. They could just ask clarifying questions. And man, you should have seen all the connections that were happening around teamwork and productivity. I'll end where I started. We can only control ourselves. I love feeling empowered. I hate feeling like somebody is doing something to me. When you practice an outward mindset, It makes you more accountable. It helps you set clear expectations. It helps you deal with conflict. It helps people get excited about your ideas. All of these things create tremendous power in your leadership. So please get started, practice yourself, coach others. If you're interested in exploring in your organization, maybe check out Arbinger Institute. I don't know them, but they seem to really have their act together around this. Or reach out to an independent coach like me to talk to you about how we can accomplish that. Drop a comment in the section. I would love to hear how you're practicing this. And please don't forget to subscribe to Executive Access so that you will get all the content as it's delivered. Thank you so much.